David, welcome to Quick Take. It's really good to have you with us.
Thanks
I
for
want to
having me.
focus on what comes next at Meta Platforms. And who is Javier Olivan, who's taking over for Sheryl Sandberg, the new COO? What do we know about him and what he's going to do?
Javier, who I know actually fairly well, is a Spanish guy who has been at Facebook/Meta longer than Sheryl, and has been working incredibly closely with Mark Zuckerberg that entire time. He is a really effective leader who's deeply well respected inside the company and kind of an expert on operations. And it's interesting, Zuckerberg, in his note about change, said that Javier will be focused more internally and operationally than Sheryl was.
And so what does that mean for the direction of the different products that Meta has? I mean, I'm specifically interested in the metaverse, for example. We heard from Zuckerberg late last month that they expect to lose a lot of money in the metaverse over the next 3 to 5 years. But do initiatives such as, this hard pivot into the metaverse remain on track?
Well, I don't even know what on track means with the pivot to the metaverse. It's such a nascent effort. I personally am somewhat skeptical about it. I think that to the degree that Mark's got a clear vision that's going somewhere, Javier is going to be completely in line with it because he works hand in glove with Zuckerberg on all matters. But what's going to be challenging for him, given that he is responsible for advertising, among other things, and that's the profit engine of the company for the time being, he's got to keep that profit engine really humming while also building up a comparable profit engine on the metaverse side. And I honestly don't think they even really know what that will look like. Advertising in the metaverse is a very interesting question. So he's going to be working mostly, I would say, to keep the current systems running smoothly, which he's probably going to be good at. But I think along with Zuckerberg, he will struggle to figure out what his role means in the metaverse context.
Does it to you, David, because Javier and Mark Zuckerberg are so connected, does this to you look like Mark Zuckerberg is consolidating power at all, especially given the reporting that we've seen over the last couple of years of the divergence between Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, actually, Mark consolidated power in about 2005 when Sean Parker helped ensure that he had a voting control of the company. He has been the unquestioned autocrat the entire time. He did, when Sheryl has been there, have someone who I believe was willing to push back against some of his thinking more than most of the other people on his team. He does have a very good relationship with people like Javier Olivan and Chris Cox and others. And they're not afraid to tell him what they think. But and Chris Cox even quit in protest over the encryption of messaging at one point, and then was convinced to return, and he's now head of product. But Zuckerberg doesn't have any issue with control. He has total and complete control, which frankly, I think is a little bit of a Achilles heel for the company and has been responsible for some of the mistakes they've made.
I am curious, to get a little bit reflective, the fact that this news broke yesterday and it immediately across pretty much all business networks became the story of the afternoon that Sandberg was stepping down. And I feel like when it comes to COOs, typically there isn't this kind of reaction. And I know it caught a lot of people by surprise. Talk to us a little bit about why this makes such headlines, why this is such a big moment for, again, a COO departure.
I don't think we'd see this kind of coverage for any other COO's departure. So you're absolutely right on that. But Sheryl Sandberg's a unique character, partly because she really did come in and create the business that became Facebook's, almost $1 trillion business at one time, which is now cut in half in value. But she basically built the business that Wall Street has gotten excited about since the IPO in 2012. And also because she has played a very prominent role representing the company in public, and because she was a woman, and because she championed the role of women, she became the most prominent woman in global business, I would argue, and really was even though, frankly, like I said before, Zuckerberg did have all power and overruled her time and time again, the company's effort has always been to portray the two of them as partnered in the leadership of the company. And they did that very effectively, even though in the last maybe 2.5, 3 years, her role has diminished considerably. But, I think because she's a woman, because she did such an amazing job, first at Google, building that advertising business, and then creating the business that is Facebook, she uniquely commands respect as an incredibly effective leader in business.